Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network, and I've been away for a little while here. I'm trying to find Restream. Be patient with me here. I'm a little out of practice because it's been a while. Here we go. Let's see if we can get you up on Restream so I can see the chat. I have been off on a month of adventure, and oops, now I have to log into Restream. So let's see. Give me a second. And technical challenges here, right? I don't even know if it is showing up on YouTube yet. So let me just sign in here and we'll see if we can get this rocking and rolling. A little bit of a rocky start. Oh my gosh, now we have to verify. And let's see if that works. Okay. This is so crazy. All right. They send these pictures to verify that are very fuzzy and hard to interpret. And let's see if we got it. Oh my gosh, bicycles. Okay, this is crazy, guys. I apologize. This just trying to sign in here. And we'll see if we got it. It's crazy. Okay. Invalid email or password. All right. So that's interesting. After all of that, we'll try one more time. This is hysterical. So what can I say? I apologize. I don't know if you're seeing any of this or if we're just late in showing up, but we're going to keep trying here. Okay. It looks like we actually got logged in to Restream. So this is awesome. And let's see if we're on YouTube, on Facebook Live. Looks like we might be. So I guess we've arrived. It's been such an interesting month and an interesting journey. I traveled cross country to California. Good morning, Rosalind. I see your text on Facebook. And there we go. Hello, Kim. Welcome. And you can see it too. That's great. So yeah, I'm back. And it was an epic adventure. And what I did was, good morning, Sue. Thank you so much for your help. We had every kind of challenge logging in this morning, and Sue came to the rescue to make it possible to get logged in to be able to broadcast this morning. So I thank you so much for your support and assistance. And Dido, good morning. Welcome. It's great to see you too. It's so good to have everybody here. What a treat. And yeah, so I just want to talk about this epic journey because what I did was something that I'd never done before. I packed up myself and my cat, my almost 17-year-old cat, and we packed into my Mini Cooper and we drove across country. to California from Philadelphia area, and met all kinds of people along the way that I had never ever met, but that I know intimately through my coaching practice. And also reconnected with a friend who I had lost touch with over 35 years ago. And so I was in my journey. I've had people ask me, what was the learning? Sue said, it was so great to meet you in person, Sue. I can't tell you. Had the privilege of, I've met Dido before and we're good friends, and I have had a wonderful relationship with Sue. And Sue and Dido, by the way, are the people that keep Enlightened World Network running. You know, they're taking care of all the details behind the scenes and making it all possible. So Sue and I had never met, and I never had met Ruth Anderson either. And I had the privilege of meeting them both for the first time. Dido, Sue, and Ruth and I got together, and it was a love fest. It was just such a gift and such a treat. And so mind-blowing to meet people that I have known and loved through Zoom, but never actually was in their physical presence. And so what happened was I also got to meet a whole lot of folks who had been and are clients of mine, who I have these very intimate connections with, but I had never physically met. And so that in itself was very wild and wonderful, and surprisingly comfortable to connect with people in person, and also notice, you know, people are different than you might anticipate. You know, their size is different, their dimensions are different. Feeling their energy in person is such an experience, and so marvelous, and deepened an already deep connection. It was phenomenal. And I connecting with a friend that I had known 35 years ago. That's pretty amazing. Because now we're both in middle-aged lady bodies. And when we knew each other, we were pretty much kids. And so that was very wild as well. And so people have asked me, what was the biggest learning in this trip? And I have to say that it has to do with time, that the passage of time, like being so connected to the relativity of the passage of time, because I was driving from Philadelphia to California. It was 5 days of driving anywhere, well, 600 miles a day, pretty much. So I was driving anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day. And what I found absolutely remarkable. Good morning, Lisa. We were just talking about the trip. Thank you so much for asking. What I'm talking about now is the biggest learning from the trip, and it had to do with time. And so what I noticed is here I would be driving 9, 10 hours a day, sometimes even more, and the time would disappear. It was amazing. I had no sense of 10 hours passing. And there was only one time in the 10 days of driving that I had that I felt impatient. And what I noticed was that all the other time, what allowed that time to pass was presence, just being in awe of everything there was to see. I was so engaged in everything that was going on, that, or that the changing scenery, that I had no sense of time. So Dido says 600 miles a day on average. Wow. Yeah, it was. It was about 600 miles a day. And you would think that that would be grueling and exhausting, but I wasn't exhausted. And Lisa says driving this long road puts you into a meditative type state. For sure. So years ago, I was a sales rep, and I would drive a lot. I would drive about 1,000 miles a week, which is very different from 600 miles a day, but still, I drove a lot, and I found it to be very meditative. In fact, a good portion of the time that I was driving, I didn't listen to anything. I mean, I had books on tape that I listened to part of the time, but a good part of the time was just in silence and just observing the spectacular country that we live in. I had never driven across country before, and the scenery, oh my gosh, what a remarkable land we live in, and what a remarkable planet. The formations of rock, the mountains, the deserts. It was extraordinary to be exposed to this amazing variety of landscapes. And so when I noticed myself on the last leg of the trip was from Columbus, Ohio to Philadelphia, and it was one of the shorter legs. It was 7.5 hours. And there were moments when I noticed myself falling into not being present, because here the landscape was more familiar. And I have to say that the contrast between the landscape here in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, Ohio, there are so many trees. It is so lush. There are hills and mountains that are just completely blanketed with trees. And it was such a stark contrast to the other landscapes that I experienced, where there were deserts and rock formations and mountains. And this was, I have a totally new appreciation for how profoundly rich and luscious and lush the East Coast is just phenomenal. So Lisa says that, yep, is on my bucket list. I did it as a teenager, but I'd like to rent an RV and go. I figure within the next 3 years. Lisa, so I had my heart set on doing the cross-country run in an RV. And I have been looking for RVs for years. I actually had put a deposit down on one, and it fell through. And frankly, I'm so grateful that it did. So I drove across country in my Mini Cooper, and with my cat, and it was packed to the gills. And I had the opportunity to stay with friends. I stayed with Dido one night, and other friends along the way. And it would have been lovely to have also been able to stay in my own camper. But after years of research and having definitively decided on the RV that I wanted, after this trip across country, I changed my mind to believe that I would like to have a Sprinter van, a camper van, that's a lot smaller, that I can park wherever I go Dido says we camped out in my backyard. We did. It was the one time I got to use my tent. I had a tent and a sleeping bag and a sleeping bag pad. And Dido and I put up the tent in her backyard and we slept in there with my cat. And it was so fun. It was one of the highlights of my entire trip, Dido. So, and then Dido and I went and spent time in Crestone, Colorado. The trip was absolutely magical, truly, with all the wonderful synchronicities that happened. And I want to come back to this notion of time, because there was what's different now that I'm back is that there is a deeper sense of flow. At least that's what I'm noticing at the moment. Like coming back home, I came back to a house where mice had a field day. They just found the party house and invited all their friends because there was mice carnage everywhere. So I spent a lot of time cleaning things that I would not normally have cleaned. And what I noticed in doing that is that there was a groundedness that came of that, a sense of connection to space. And why I'm connecting this with flow is that I had all these things to do, coming back home. And what I noticed was that I was doing different things than I thought I would be doing upon reentry. I cleaned out my car. I took my time and I was in this flow of just allowing things to unfold without stressing about it. And that's really what this month taught me. There was in the traveling, in the driving, there was not a drive to get there. It was just being on the road and allowing things to just unfold and taking it easy and being where I was when I was there. And I think that that's the secret to maybe transcending time, because time, in my experience anyway, and you can let me know if this is your experience too, time has this ability to expand and contract. And so much of our lives are driven by all the things we have to do, and we create this urgency and this panic and this tension around time. Too much to do and too little time, and we rush and we struggle against time and we resist, and I let go of that somehow, and let's hope it sticks, right? But where the urgency isn't there. I mean, there's stuff to do, there's stuff that's calling for attention, and I can take care of those things. If I find myself getting tense about time or production or doing, I just bring myself back to being present, which is what happened. I was really conscious of this was in the last leg of the trip, because there could be this eagerness to get home, right? And that would take me out of being where I was. And what I allowed myself to do is to bring myself back to presence as I was driving, like I had never been there before, like I had never seen the scenery. And it was so rich to allow that gift to myself to say, okay, come home, be present, come home to being here in this moment. And what I'm noticing is that if we're able to, the more we're able to be in the moment, the more life flows the more things that need attention get attended to. So there were lots of things that presented themselves for attention when I came home that I hadn't had on my agenda. And I could have gotten myself into a state about having to divert my attention from what I thought I should be doing to the things that were calling for my effort and energy. But instead, what I noticed is I just allowed myself to be present to it. And there was a tremendous sense of ease, and all these things got done that I didn't even know needed doing, and got done in a way that was full of ease, easeful. I don't think that's a word, but let's make it. So this thing about time is, I think that we live beyond it, that there's a place where we can access dimensions of time that are completely nonlinear, that we can actually breathe into and be present to what is here in this moment. And then time just kind of disappears, and all kinds of richness of experience is available to us that wouldn't otherwise be present for us. So, as tempting as it might be to get in a flurry about time, maybe we can notice when we're stressing ourselves out about all the stuff that needs to be done, and maybe even make a list of it to get it out of our heads so that we're not oppressing ourselves with those preoccupations. Put it down on paper or something, and then just just breathe into it. Allow that we're flowing in this wonderful river of time and life and things occurring. There's like I think one of the deepest things that shifted for me is a deepening sense of trust in life, and trust in life's unfolding, and divine connection. Susie Flower, oh my gosh, how it's wonderful to have you join us. So Susie says, thank you for being live. You popped out of the blue in my feed. Rivers of light. So wonderful to have you joining us. That's great. Thank you. And we hope you'll join us again. So this notion of time is, I think our experience of time is probably linked to our desire to control things. And when we have a whole pile of stuff to do, we focus on time because it gives us a greater sense of control, perhaps. And when we let go of control, when we allow life to unfold for us, then it's remarkable the miracles that happen. So every now and then I would find myself getting stressed out or worrying about something, worrying about what if something went wrong. And again, I would bring myself back by saying, we don't have to do that. We don't have to create that. We don't need that trauma. And soothing myself in that way, I would be able to release those preoccupations and just come back to being in the moment. And there's such a gift to that. And it's so simple. And it's funny that it can be so elusive for us, right? When it's so simple to just allow things to unfold. Like I tend to have a very scheduled, busy schedule. And what I notice is that I can intend spaciousness in the beginning of the day, and things open up in ways that I could never ever anticipate. So thank you so much. I'm not sure who it is that's saying this, but Mira's show is back on the air. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. We missed you, Mira. Thank you so much. It's so good to be back. It really is. It's such a treat. And I just want to thank you all. I think that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And generally, I go live each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern here on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. Sue, thank you so much. Rosalind says, life wants to love you. Let it. I notice that the hurt is diminished when I allow myself to be relieved of the have-to-dos. It's a helpful story for me. You can't be all things to everyone. Rosalind, thank you for that. I love that. Life wants to love you. I think that's true. And it's just a matter of us letting ourselves be loved. Dido says, so glad you're back. Thank you, Dido. I'm so glad to be back. And until next time, so much love to you.